Hello, Reset Women. This is Lynn Ann. I am so happy to be here with a continuation from last week with our guest, Eileen Dillon. She is the author of Emotional Mastery, and there's a longer title. She'll tell you about that. And I'm so excited to be here for our next installment of the Inspiration Series, where every week, every Tuesday at 10:30 in the morning, we're broadcasted on our Divine Reset Facebook page or our YouTube channel, Divine Reset. And you will hear from guests who are experts in various fields to help you feel peace, which is going to empower you to do things beyond your imagination. And maybe you've imagined it and you just haven't taken the plunge because you don't know how to get there. You're too fearful. Well, our guests are helping us to really connect with our divine in such a way that we are empowered to do bigger, greater, better things. And that's why I'm here today. So we have Eileen Dillon, and she is going to talk to us about empowerment. Last week, she talked about emotions and recognizing, acknowledging, and using the emotion because it's a tool that is given to you to master your life and truly to find happiness. That emotion is a gift to help you to become better. And so you have to take the step or the steps that are necessary to learn, and then you can grow and you will find peace. So Eileen, thank you for coming back. I'm so excited. Please tell us about empowerment.
It's my pleasure. Well, I wanted to talk with you about empowerment because I grew up in a military family. My father was an officer in the Air Force, and I had a challenging childhood. I was removed from my birth mother before I was 3 years old and never saw her again. And in those days, nobody explained to children why things changed like that. And I spent time in boarding schools when I was 4 and 5 years old. And then my family was military. So we traveled from pillar to post throughout my childhood, some of which brought me a lot of positive and some of which didn't. My father, being a military man, ruled with an iron fist, literally. He slapped, he spanked, he had power over his family and his children. And that was acceptable back in the 50s. A man's house is his castle. But I then grew up and I got married and I was living my life. I was a parent of 2 children by then, maybe 1, I'm not quite sure. But I was in my 30s and I actually was supporting my entire family. My husband was staying home, taking care of our child, and I chose to go to work because I made more money than he did. So I was supporting the family. I had a home above San Francisco in California, and I was parenting my children by a method that I had developed. I mean, I was doing a lot of things, and I had worked on my emotions like we talked about last week. But something wasn't working right, and I couldn't figure out what it was until one day I realized that I had no power. And as I sat and thought about it, I realized I wasn't going to go forward with my life in any significant way if I didn't have power. So it meant I had to have power. And that's when I realized that I had rejected power because I did not want to be like my father. My father had power over other people, and he pushed them into doing what he wanted to do. And that was the only way I understood power at that time. So it got me to thinking, and I thought, well, how it means I have to redefine power. I can't have power over. So what is real power? And as I looked, what the conclusion I came to, and I've been living by since then for the next 40 some odd years, is that I have power when I have charge of myself. And there is a principle, the only time we have power is in the present, and the only person I have power over is myself.
I love that.
Right? And so I wanted to share that because it's so fantastic. It's so different. Because what it means is anytime I get into a situation with other people, with a situation that's difficult for me, I don't have to look after anybody else. I only have to empower myself. What do I need here? What am I trying to learn? What do I need to do differently? And let me give you an example of how this worked in my life. I've been married 3 times, and my previous husband died about 3 years ago. My last husband, he was a neurosurgeon, and I married him when I was in my 50s. And he was really a wonderful character and delightful to be with. But in the early months of my marriage to him, I was convinced I had married the most selfish man in the world. We ate at the time he wanted to eat. He would tell me what he wanted to have for dinner. I had to pause when I went into his office because he'd be busy and it would be irritating to him if I interrupted him, those kinds of things. I thought, oh my God, what have I done, right? And then as I thought about it, I realized he's the same person he was when I got to know him and when I married him. So let's take a look at what's really going on. Well, all of his life, he had been highly intelligent, catered to, top of the heap doctor so that everybody waited for him. That's what happened in his life. And it allowed him to develop what I saw as a vortex of energy. It was like inside of him, there was energy that went around like this, and he just stayed in it. It was his energy. It was, this is what's right for me at this time. And he just stayed in it all the time.
Gee, I'd like that life.
Well, funny you say it that way, because I'm going, okay, so that's what he's doing. It's not necessarily that he's selfish. He's just living his life the way it works for him, right? So the person I can change, the one I have power over, is me. What do I need to do differently? Do I need to get out of here? Do I need to, I need to develop my own vortex of energy because I didn't have one. I was used to making my life around my children and my husband and not around, even though I had my own private practice, I was not centered around my own vortex. So I started building it. I started asking myself, what is it that I would like to do here? What will work for me? What is it that I don't want to do? Because I need to set boundaries, right? And I began to build my own vortex. And I will tell you that at the beginning, it annoyed the daylights out of my husband. But eventually he came to appreciate it because my power became equal to his, not in a negative way, but in a way that, my sister years ago, she taught contact improvisation dance. And in that dance, you're in contact with your dancing partner. And sometimes you lean on them and give weight. And you have to show up. Both partners have to show up in order for that dance to work. And that's the way the marriage started working then, with both of us showing up. And that was a really important empowerment, even though, 30 years earlier, I had chosen to have power over myself. I still had not built up that internal vortex. And what I mean by vortex is, you deal with a 2-year-old or a baby. That child is so empowered, it can drive adults crazy, right? To try to get them to go to sleep, to try to get them to eat, whatever. We are born with that kind of power.
Yes.
And over our lifetime, we give it up, especially women, in my view.
Yes, that's why we're here.
Right. And so the deal is to what did we really come to Earth for? If we use my idea of the Earth as a giant school, we are souls that come to the Earth to have an experience. We experiment with love and not love. We have interactions with people and learn about ourselves. It's all a big opportunity for us to learn and so forth. And we bring our full spiritual self here, and then through this kind of attrition, we lose track of it, right?
Completely.
So when we're talking about your energy vortex, what we're really talking about is reconnecting with who you were at the moment you were born, right?
Yep, that's beautiful. That's why I named this movement Divine Reset. And I have an e-journal that people can buy. It's wonderful. It's synced with chakras, and it's called a 360-degree reset. It's not a 180, because in our core, we are that perfect being. We are still that perfect being. And it's
Absolutely.
a 360, just a reset. Just find out who you are. Please continue.
This year of 2020, from all that I've been able to gather, this is a year for us to really reconnect or reset, like you're talking about. This is a year for us to recognize that we are energy beings. And one person I was listening to talking about, what might be happening in this year, she said, this is the time for us to live life the way it's right for us. And that's empowerment. That's what it's about. And it's not like, I'm not doing it your way because that's wrong. It's more like, how can I do this in the way that's right for me? Yesterday, I had an experience. I was talking with somebody who, in my experience, was being very negative and harsh with me. And it just really messed me up inside. Normally, I don't get messed up. This is somebody close to me. And so the conversation, the interaction ended, and I thought, what do I need to do to take care of myself? And I ended up going swimming, right? Because being in the water rejuvenated me, and exercise, and I could just feel this going away. So it's not about doing something against somebody. It's about doing something for yourself that feels right. And a lot of our time in terms of empowerment, we need to be asking, what do I really need? What's important to me? I'm now 77 years old, and I travel around the country in my RV, and I live life on the basis of what I want to do. What does my heart tell me? Where do I want to go? How long do I want to stay someplace? Who do I want to see? Right? Whole different way after living as a single parent and catering to all these husbands that I've had and so forth, whole different way of living my life.
Yeah, all the shoulds.
Yeah, there are no shoulds anymore. I just get to do what I want to do. And it's very, very empowering. Well, we might not be able to do that. Whoever you are listening, you might not be able to do it as fully as I'm doing, but you can do it to the extent that you can set the course for your life every day. And another good way that a lot of people suggest is to ask that which is larger than you, if you want to call it God or your higher self or whatever, what would you have me do today? What can I do in service? Because service actually brings us the greatest good, in my view.
Okay, yes. And so you brought up a point. So a lot of our listeners, we've got people in different stages. Some people are retired, and let's talk to the moms that are in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So part of my mission is to address the labels that women put on themselves, that I'm the mom of the child with autism. I'm the woman married to this person, and the title or whatever it is, and we get these labels. And so How would you help? What would you say to a woman that is really in the trenches?
Well, having been in the trenches, I really relate to this. The first thing I would say is just those examples you gave is a person defining themselves in terms of their relationship with someone else instead of in terms of their relationship with themselves. And a story came to my mind. I was a single parent when my daughter was still very young, starting at 10 months of age. And I was living alone, trying to get actually, I was going to graduate school at that time. And one time I got sick. And I said to my daughter, you know, mommy's not feeling well today, and I'd really like it if you could help me, and blah, blah, blah. She was about 2 years old, maybe. It was the worst day I'd had with my daughter forever. She was pushing on me constantly all day. And I realized that on the days that it was like she didn't have any structure, and she kept trying to find where I was. She kept pushing me, right?
Okay.
And so I realized that on the days when I felt my weakest, that's when I had to be my most empowered.
Okay.
Right? So you're in the trenches, and even if you can't do it very much, to just ask yourself, what would work for me here? Is there a way I can take care of this situation and it is going to feel good for me, or it'll benefit me? And recognize, all my life I had been taught, when you become a mother, your children are more important than you, right? As a single parent, I found out that's not true. Because as a single parent, any day that I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't on top of my game, the whole system fell apart, right?
Yeah.
And so really, I was the most important one. I have to keep myself going in a way that's measured and good for the rest of the family to do well. And so this focusing on myself is not about self-centeredness or selfishness.
Right.
It's about, how can I bring my best self to this experience?
Right. Because you're not going to rob yourself from the role that you still possess. You're not going to ignore that. You'll still be able to perform, but at a better level.
Right. And so as a single parent, I learned to take care of myself first. And I had to laugh a few years later. We had a tough day one day, and one of my children came to me and said, Mom, why don't you go in your room and rest? You'll feel better, and we'll be okay for a few minutes while you rest. And I realized that from me, they learned that moms had to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And that was really important. And I went in my room and took care of myself. So
Right.
I'd like to mention my book, which is called Emotions in Motion, Mastering Life's Built-in Navigation System. And I talk about some of this. We're focused on emotions in this book, but we talk about 12 emotions and how the emotions and our work with emotions interweaves with spiritual principle. And I also talk some about being manipulated. When you're in the trenches with kids, you know, you're developing a lot of learning about manipulation. And my book that I'm working on now is about manipulation. So if you want support and stories and illustrations, that's what my book is about.
Fabulous. I have the book, and you can purchase it on Amazon. So will you tell us how people can get a hold of you then?
Yes. My website is Emotional Mastery for Life. That's all spelled out, FORLIFE, Emotional Mastery for Life. And my email is Eileen.
.com.
Oh, yes, .com. And my email is Eileen, ILENE, at emotionalmasteryforlife.com. And I hate that it's so long, but that's what that was recommended to me by someone I consulted with. It seems like a long email.
It's
However,
easy to remember.
Yes, Emotional Mastery for Life. And my message is, like you were saying, we tend to push emotions away. And in reality, we need to embrace them And when we master them, our power is greatly enhanced, and also we get happier. And I mean, I don't do guilt or worry or shame or any of those things anymore. And I talk about that in the book also. They're not beneficial. Why do we need to do them? We want to enhance our spiritual selves, not tear ourselves down.
Right. And there's enough happening around us that is tearing us down. So we are out of time. And Eileen, I want to thank you. I can tell the 2 sessions that we've had together, and then the interaction that we had when we were at Soul Treat through the Wellness Universe, just a couple of months ago in Sedona.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that you carry yourself in a way that is so, you are empowered.
Yes, I am. Finally. I
You
started
can
out
see
very
it.
unempowered.
Well, it is a goal, and you're 77, and the work that you're doing is helping. And I hope that people can apply these things. I hope that you share it with your friends. Please, we've got a YouTube channel, Divine Reset. Anybody can access these inspiration series, because imagine being empowered. Imagine being in a state like Eileen. She doesn't allow shame and guilt and anger. You mentioned you were a little hurt by somebody, but man, you definitely were empowered because you internalized it and realized, okay, I need to do something to take care of myself because of the actions of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't sit with it. You acknowledged it, and here you are.
And I'd like to tell you that later in the day, that person and I work things out together easily also. And in the past, what we often do is you hold a grudge, or you're thinking about what that person has done to hurt you, or how mad you are at them, or whatever. And those things are useless. They just keep us locked into the bad feeling stuff. So really, to be empowered, you want to focus on, what can I do to take care of myself, to make myself feel good here, no matter what?
Oh, beautiful. And then that's when you develop that vortex of
Right.
energy that is
Right.
what you make it up to be.
Exactly. And by the way, once you have a vortex, people don't bother you so much as they used to either.
Oh, hallelujah. Still working on it. Still working on it. Thank you so much, Eileen. You are a light, and I am so excited to get through your book, and it is amazing. Such a gift that you're giving to people, and you've been through a lot, and thank you for being an author and putting it on paper so other people can learn.
I tell people I don't have the good sense to retire.
I hope not.
I'm very excited about sharing what I've learned.
Oh, you've got another 30 years at least. I'm counting on it.
That's my plan.
Wonderful. Well, I can't wait to see you and keep going, and I'm looking for your next book. So thank you so much. Please join us for our inspiration series every Tuesday at 10:30 in the morning, Mountain Standard Time. And that is on our YouTube channel or on the Facebook page, Divine Reset. And you can reach Eileen at emotionalmasteryforlife.com, or her website, emotionalmasteryforlife.com. And you can also contact us at divine-reset.com. And have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye, Eileen.
Bye. Thank you.